If you've heard of whiskey, you've heard of Jameson, but it's not really representative of what Irish whiskey can do, and let's face it, it's not really a good whiskey. I'm Matt, I'm the whiskey nerd, and I'm going to be telling you 5 whiskies you should be looking out for to upgrade your whiskey collection. I'm going to start with a real Irish whiskey. I'm going to look at a budget but better Irish whiskey. Something that's cask strength, something that's worth hunting down, and something that's a bit fun. So while I tell you my picks, have a think to yourself and let me know down in the comments below what you'd put for each of those 5 categories. And while you're there, if you're new here, you might even hit subscribe. First off, we have to acknowledge the 2 elephants in the room, the 2 pillars of Irish whiskey. We've got Redbreast 12-year-old and Green Spot. And chances are, if you're looking to upgrade your Irish whiskey collection, people are going to say start with these. And they are very, very good whiskies. But for a real Irish whiskey, I'd actually suggest Powers John's Lane. Now this is a single pot still whiskey, just like Redbreast and just like Green Spot, but it's a little bit different, where Redbreast is the traditional spicy, oaky, really rich, dense pot still, and Green Spot is lighter, sweeter, fruitier. This is sort of a mix between the two. It's earthy and oaky with a bit of tobacco, but has been finished in some nice wine casks and sherry casks, so it's got some more of the lighter, sweeter, fruity notes that Green Spot does. It also comes in at 46% ABV, so while those 2 whiskies are coming in at 40%, this will have a lot more presence in your glass. And as more and more Irish whiskies are coming out at that 46% ABV, the time of whiskey coming out at 40% may be, hopefully, in the past, and we might see more whiskies like this that have that 46% ABV and are delivering much more flavor. It is a very good, classic Irish single pot still whiskey, and if you want it, you should definitely try out this as a good expression of what Irish whiskey is capable of. Next, for a budget but better whiskey, we're going to look at the Sexton single malt whiskey. This is a very nice whiskey that comes in at a very approachable price point. It's about 5 years old, it's a single malt, and was aged entirely in sherry casks. So it's going to give you a really nice, rich flavor that balances the caramel funkiness of the malt with some nice fruity notes from the sherry influence. Now, I can see why this is the #1 selling Irish single malt in America, so this is a very popular whiskey and it should be available everywhere, and it's just a little bit more expensive than those budget blends. So if you see this on the shelf, it's very good to take a little detour from those classic whiskies and get something a whole lot better. For a cask strength whiskey, I'm gonna have to say Blue Spot. This is actually my favorite of the Spot whiskies. It's a very nice, full flavored, rich whiskey, where Green Spot that we were talking about earlier is a nice, peppery, fruity whiskey. It's at 40%. This is at 58.7% whiskey. It has so much more weight behind it, but that weight, that ABV, doesn't come through as an alcohol burn. It just delivers whole loads of more flavor. So it's got that peppery, fruity, vanilla note, but it just turned up to 11, turned up to 12 even. So much more flavor and really, really good cask strength whiskey. This is still a bit hard to find. I know that it is a core whiskey in their range, so eventually supply will meet demand, but since they are putting out in sort of limited batches, I have seen this on the shelf for like €200, $200. It is an €80 bottle of whiskey, so eventually, like I said, supply will meet demand and it will come down in price. But if you can find it at recommended price, this is absolutely one to get. Or if you can't find it yet at recommended price, just keep an eye out and eventually you'll see those prices start to come down as there's more bottles on the market, and you should definitely pick this up. For something that's worth the hunt, I'm going to say Killowen's Rum and Raisin. This is a very interesting, fun, tasty whiskey that you might not have heard about if you're not in Ireland. Killowen are a very small micro distillery. They've been putting out some very interesting rums, some gins, and some very interesting poitíns, which is kind of like a whiskey that hasn't been aged yet or hasn't been fully aged yet. Their own whiskey will be coming out soon enough, but in the meantime they've been putting out some really nice sourced whiskey. The Rum and Raisin is probably the most popular of their whiskies. This is from batch 2, but I think they're up to batch 6 now. It's one of those whiskies that comes out, and pretty much as soon as it comes out, it gets sold out. So there's a lot of interest in this whiskey. It's very good. It has this kind of like rum and raisin note to it. It has this vanilla note, these kind of raisiny notes to it, and it delivers a lot of flavor, and it's a really nice whiskey. Cologne, if you can find it, it's definitely worth the hunt. Their whiskeys that they're putting out are very good, and it makes me very excited for when their own whiskey will come out onto the market. I think that will be very much in demand. It will definitely be a collector's item. So if you can see Cologne, or if you can hunt it down, definitely give it a try. When it comes to something fun, Irish whiskey does have you covered. I mean, there are a lot of different type of finishes on the market in Irish whiskey. I mean, we've got this from Teeling, it was finished in a pineapple rum cask, or this one from Black's, which is aged in a maple syrup cask. So there's a lot of experimentation in Irish whiskey, and there's a lot of fun things you can try out. But for me, I'm going to focus on the influence of wood. So Irish whiskey, the rules around Irish whiskey are very interesting. So you have to age it for at least 3 years, and there are very strict rules around the types of grains you can use. But when it comes to the wood, there's really no strict rule. It just says it has to be aged in a wooden barrel. So you can kind of do whatever you want with the barrels. We've got Method and Madness, who are playing around with chestnut wood, who are playing around with acacia or mulberry wood rather than the standard oak. And we've got other companies that are using Mizunara oak, which is from Japan. Very nice, interesting wood, but it's very porous, so it gives a huge amount of flavor. And this one from Writer's Tears, I think is very nice. It's very spicy, it's got this incensey note, it's rich, and it delivers a whole lot of flavor. But when it comes to it, you can kind of pick whatever you want, because Irish whiskey, like I said, it has this whole range of experimentation. So when you are looking for something new in an Irish whiskey, there's something you can find. You can get excited about a lot of different whiskeys. So if you're looking for something fun, maybe don't take my recommendation. Go to the store, look at the shelves, and find something different, find something fun, and if it excites you, definitely pick it up. So there you have it, my 5 picks for a real Irish whiskey, a budget but better Irish whiskey, a cask strength whiskey, one that's worth the hunt, and something that's a bit fun, a bit different. But maybe you think differently, maybe you have different whiskies you put into those categories. Make sure to let me know down in the comments below, because I'd love to hear from you. I put out whiskey reviews on Wednesdays, I put out cocktail recipes on Fridays, and I put out fun little videos like this every now and then on Mondays. So if you want to see more like that, make sure you hit subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Sláinte.